All right, today we're going to draw this one now. This is just a shape boundary of a property, perhaps. So it has units of feet and inches, which we'll have to change as well. The first thing we need to do, though, when you start a new drawing is to add the limits command as to start, and that'll set your frame of reference basically for the size that you're going to be making. So I'll type in limits. If you don't do this, what ends up happening is your first line, like if we start at the bottom here, it'll be 125 feet and 5 inches. The line will go off the paper because it'll be zoomed into your limits, and that'll be like a 12 by 9 piece of paper. So then you won't be able to like zoom while you're drawing and stuff. So this sets your frame of reference, and then you can zoom to those limits, and then you're good to go. So anyway, I've typed the limits command in, and it's asking me to specify the lower left corner, which almost always is 0, 0. So I just hit enter or spacebar. And then the upper right corner, I would just want to type in how many inches. Those are the default units. I haven't changed the units yet. So we can type in the units first if we wanted to, but in this case, we can just convert maybe 200 inches by 200 inches, and that should encompass this whole drawing pretty well. We'll be able to zoom in and out of that. So 200 inches ends up being what, 1200, 2400, 200 feet is 2400 inches, right? So I'll type in 2400, comma, 2400. So that puts 2400 inches, 200 feet to the right and up as the other opposite corner of the rectangle of the limits. So even though the screen isn't rectangular, it should be pretty good. So with those limits set, I can zoom to those limits. So the zoom command is just Z, enter, or space. And then all these options I have, extents is what I already have drawn, so that's not going to quite do it. But if I use all, that will zoom to the limits that I've set. So I'm just going to hit A and enter. And then, so I have another one we're going to draw in a minute. So now, that's roughly the extent, or the allows me to draw this without having zoom issues. Okay. The other thing we mentioned was the units, so I'll type in the units command. And right now the default units are decimal, and those are inches, but I'm going to use architectural, which allows the user to input feet with the single quote or single tick as feet, and a double tick as inches. So we don't have to type in the dash in there, and I'll set the precision to just whole inches because none of this has anything past whole inches, although it'll go into fractional inches quite a ways. So whole feet and inches. Also, the angles need 1 decimal. So I'm going to leave, and this isn't the default units of the drawing. It's just the inserted units that are assumed if you like copy and paste something or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to click OK, and then we can get started. I do have some layers here set up, but we can talk about those later. So that allows me to show that the boundary a little bit thicker than the dimensions. Other than that, there's no other need to make a new layer that's thicker for now. And I do have the line weight turned on here, as well as my dynamic input and polar tracking, as well as object snap tracking. That may be useful as we draw this. Okay, so I think we're set up and ready to draw. So I'm going to start my line command, and we'll start at the bottom here, and I'll just draw next to it. So I'll start over here somewhere and go straight to the right, 125 feet. So I just typed in 125, single tick, and then 5. Notice no dash or anything, and then a double quotes. So single quotes for feet, double quotes for inches, and I'm already tracking. Notice my green track line is at 0, so I'm just going straight across. So I just hit enter, and there is a 125 foot 5-inch line. This gets a little tricky now. Now I need to draw a line at 110.3 degrees from this line. However, AutoCAD is defaults, and there's really no good way to set this to where I can measure from, well, you can in the units, you can have the left be 0 and count angles clockwise. So maybe I could just show that real quick. I don't really suggest doing it this way, so you can click on this direction in my units, and we can use west as your base angle. Let's see what the dynamic input does with this. So if I start my line again, start at the end, snapping. So I do have my snap settings on. Basically, I have every snap setting except nearest turned on. So we'll see what that allows you to do. So anyway, starting the line there, it still doesn't respect those units at all. So that unit setting for the direction doesn't really help in the dynamic input. Now, if I didn't have dynamic input turned on, I suppose I could set that angle. Well, we can hit F12 on this tablet. I can, let's see, there's F12. Nope. F12. There we go. So dynamic input is turned off. Now, if I just type in polar coordinates, I can set the length of this line as just start typing, even though I have no input to give. I can, let's see, 85. So 85 feet. And I can see it in my command line, which is fine. And then 11 inches. So there's my 85 feet, 11 inches, and I'm going to type in the left angle bracket, which is the less than symbol, if you want left angle bracket. And I'm going to type in my 110.3 degrees. Unfortunately, that it didn't do it. Okay. So let's go back to units, or I can U space escape and units. Go back to my direction. Let's just leave east there. So that wasn't helping at all anyway. So let's back to my line, hit F12, type in my 85 feet, 11 inches, and then tab over to this angle that I'm going to have to do some math with. There's really not a great other way to do this. So from the left, 110, we'll just subtract, if you can watch the, I don't have my stretching arc going on, but I can see the angles as I move. The angles reduce from 180. So here's 180, 175, 1 whatever. So 180 minus 110.3, that would be 69.7. So I can just type in 69.7, and then I'll have that angle going on. So not the best way to, and in fact, if I track back, I can see that 110.3 as a good check. The next line, however, might not be so easy. If you don't like that, to do the math, we're going to do it one more time and then show maybe an easier way, but it's still, AutoCAD doesn't have a great way to do this anyway. So anyway, we want 117.3 degrees from this angle here, which is the 110. So if I add the 110.3 to my 117.3, I get 227.6. So 227.6 is nice, but once I get to 180 here, it flips back over and starts subtracting from 180. So I have to take that to whatever it was, the sum of these two angles. So that's my 227.6. So I subtract 180 from that, and I would get 47.6. So 47.6, but then it starts reducing from 180, so 47.6 from 180 would be the angle I need. So I'm going to type that in first because so I don't have to. I mean, I could write this down. It's probably easier to write that down or calculate it on your phone or a computer or something. But anyway, try to do it in my head real quick. So I'm going to tab over to the angle first. And if I remember correctly, that was 227. So that would be 47.6. And then that would be 132.4. So 132.4 for my angle. I'll tab back over to the length. That looks probably right. And I can type in the angle. So 159 feet, 10 inches. There we go. Okay. That was not fun. And, well, it was sort of fun, but in case you didn't like that, what we can do is just track back at this angle using the parallel snap, and I'll just type in the length and then just rotate the line. So it's a two-step process, but arguably that could be faster than trying to do the mental math or typing it in even or calculating that math. So I'm going to just draw this line, this length, which 109, so 109 feet, 5 inches, and I'll just hit enter. So that line right there, so I'm going to stop making that line. I'm going to select that line, hover over the end, click it, and then right click it and rotate. What this does is enter the rotate command, but also uses it'll rotate it at that point that I click. So it kind of serves two purposes as using what's called the base point. I use that end, that grip that I clicked on as the base point. So instead of using the rotate command from the menu, from the ribbon, I should say, I can use a right-click menu to do it too. So that's a quick trick. So all I got to do is rotate this 95.8 degrees, but it's clockwise, which is actually opposite of AutoCAD's positive is counterclockwise. So I just need to type in negative 95.8 to go clockwise. And there is my 109 feet 5 inch line at 95.8 degrees. Perhaps that's easier, or maybe you like either way. So let's do one more and finish this off. So this line, I'll just do this again, tracking back along this extension. So now that's going to be the same angle, so that's good. And 89 feet, 7 inches. Enter. There it is. Click on the end, right click it right away, rotate, and now this one's going clockwise again, so negative. So I moved my cursor so I'm not on a tracking, so that'll pop up my angle that I need, so negative 146.2 degrees. And there's the last line, so I don't need to deselect that. I can just start the line command again and just snap to the endpoints, and now I've drawn the shape according to these interior angles, which is not what AutoCAD's like inherently set up to do. All right, so for the assignment, we're going to draw this one, which is similar, but this is what you would see in problem 3 of the book. Okay, good luck.